do reasonably well against the Jarvan. It's kind of like, hey, if I can get my Sonic Wave without you using your EQ combo, it'd be all right. Looks like, though, they're actually going to go towards the Aphelios side of things. So not really feeling the Jinx without being partnered with the Thresh. So instead, we'll go towards the Aphelios, which is kind of in the same boat as the Jinx, honestly, but at least a little bit better able to maneuver in team fights and set up ganks with things like the Graviton.
It's funny, because normally when the Thresh is banned, people are like, oh, we'll go Jinx Lulu. Because Aphelios, you know, with the Thresh has been a pretty standard since Aphelios came out. So the fact is we get Aphelios, we get Jiejie on the Zhao once again. And now Dagda, other side, Jinx, Lulu. Like, yeah, pretty much. Surely. I mean, Elk, would he rather go for Ziggs?
I mean, both do the same kind of job in lane, right? Good, clear, decent job at being able to, like, poke from afar, great damage late game, and certainly the Ziggs can just one-shot the Aphelios, and if you don't have flash, the Cataclysm just becomes that death sentence then for you, where you just get the Mega Inferno Bomb at the top. But we're going to go with the Rocket version instead, as Jinx is going to be picked up, ShiauC going to go back towards his Leona, and now it feels like you're going to be push yourselves in towards maybe something like the Braum, maybe a Nautilus still for Meiko in the bottom lane, or I don't think you can kind of take something like the Rakan. I feel like the Rakan, you end up just being too pushed in the lane and not having enough control or like disengage to try and set up your bot lane correctly.
Okay, well, got 5 seconds. If that Rakan comes through, instead, Lulu. All right, so get the Lulu for the Aphelios and a similar kind of thing. So Dagda, in this crazy turn of events, we've actually got both bot laners picked and junglers. Never happened before. So solo laners once again in the last phase. Dude, I had no clue this was coming. It's not like the meta is predictable or in any way the exact same pretty much every game, with slight variations. You know?
No, we are completely different every time. And that's why we're not going to see the Renekton ban. We're definitely not going to see Viktor probably taken off.
A Gwen ban?
Like, at least maybe picked up. A Gwen ban probably going to come through as well, you know?
What else?
Maybe we get the Annie ban again, though. Maybe we get the actual meta for this series, you know, with two prolific Annie players on both sides.
Yeah. Or maybe Annie gets let through and we finally get to see, you know, not finally, but we get to see another Flandre Annie top, or we get to see Cryin pick it up mid. Anything's possible here. Dagda said Annie ban. I'm going to go for... Okay, on the other side, Dagda, I'll pick Ultra Prime. I reckon it's Gwen ban. What do you reckon?
I would 100% agree with you.
Okay.
Gwen is incredibly strong against what Ultra Prime have. Does super well. Enabled by Lulu as well. It's just kind of nasty.
Or maybe Jace.
And especially, like, the really good top laners that we have and the really good Gwen players have been doing a really an exceptional job of, like, using the Shroud to buy so much space in team fights. So against something like the Jinx, being able to position yourself in the middle and go, I'm immune, screw you, is kind of a bit OP. So Ultra Prime are like, nope, let's get that off the board. And now for EDG, Scout, potential for Viktor, potential for Vex. They're the two top ones that we're looking at the moment.
Oh,
yeah, it looks like. Yeah. And then we'll have to see what Cryin decides to go with. Is Annie is up and available?
Okay.
Maybe he decides to go towards something else. But all he has played is the Syndra, which we played in the last game. 4 games of Corki and 1 game of Viktor. So it's going to be the Syndra coming back again. And ZS quickly locking in the Gragas. So not too unsurprising. Ultra Prime going back towards a pretty heavy team fighting composition. With a bit of a stronger setup coming through from the Jarvan and the Gragas. We'll have to see what the plan is here for Flandre up against the Gragas in the top lane.
Let's see something exciting, because Graves' ban, Gwen's ban, you know, against Gragas, Gwen was the answer. I said something exciting, guys. Come on. Your EDG. Game 2 is you know, advantage point. Yes, we get Cho'gath, dude. So we literally get a large man versus a large beast.
So this, like, Cho'gath pick works pretty well against compositions that want to run into you. You do get a little bit of that, obviously, with the Jarvan and the Leona. Not a huge amount, though, with the Syndra and the Jinx, right? They can play at a decent amount of range and kind of outplay him. So you're heavily reliant now on Meiko to be able to speed you up in this scenario for EDG to, like, get Flandre into range or get Jiejie into a position where he can follow up, because they're pretty lacking in both range comparatively to Ultra Prime and just their ability.
That built up the foundations for the bottom side. A steal on the Dragon. But as soon as it turned mid-game, as soon as we got out of the lanes and EDG got rolling, it didn't stop. And for Ultra Prime, the task now is to get that early game rolling once again and see if they can keep up momentum. But this time around, Dagda, instead of something like the Kai'Sa, we have the Jinx, we have a Hyperscaler. And it's going to be interesting to watch if Ultra Prime can, you know, have a more concrete laning phase against Edward Gaming.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of this is going to be looking towards Jiejie once more. Surprise for EDG, but certainly playing through this bottom half of the map, trying to see if he can set up for early dragons, like allow EDG to get control over the objectives early, especially when you've got Meiko there. The Lulu Jiejie is incredibly strong. If Viper has like a speed up for Meiko as well with Gravitum, you set up for easy ganks from Jiejie, especially with no cleanse on Elk. So you've got ways for EDG to make this bot lane plays work. Kind of feels like for Flandre and ShiauC, though, not really going to have too much there, right? ShiauC kind of wants to just end up pushing and take it easy. You don't really want to end up in the 2v2 between Hacker and Cryin because they just have the stronger mid-jungle. So I think a lot of this focus from EDG will be bot lane, whereas for Ultra Prime, have a little bit more wiggle room with both mid and bot they can play.
Well, speaking of bot, just quickly, note that Viper's gone for the pressy attack here, and Airy on top of Meiko, and we might need that relevant information because PTA will be activated, but lethal tempo even better. Viper about to get solo killed, or rather in the 2v2. It ain't a solo, but double summoners burn. Now Meiko on top of Elk, a flash forward, they got it. Dagda, how did that happen?
That was the most clutch heal I think I've ever seen coming out from Meiko. The fact that he was able to just about survive that, waiting for that ignite to tick over so we'd get the full value out of the heal. But yeah, I mean, both AD carries have to reset, but it is actually going to be Meiko who picks up first blood.
Yeah, he's going to stand here, get wave experience. We'll watch again because you pointed out the clutch heal as Viper got caught.
Yeah, I thought Meiko had a igniter exhaust. I didn't cop the heal. So you can see here Viper, right? Waiting, just about as the heal comes through, saves him, and then the tiniest of shields to keep him alive. And from that point forward, Meiko just has enough damage to get the kill back. But mid lane.
That Lulu plays. Scout actually caught out as well. Hacker straight on into it. The flash from Hacker not necessary. Cryin picks up the kill, but again, Dagda, the early game from Ultra Prime, doesn't matter if it's bot or mid, they'd like to get rolling.
I mean, they're getting explosive, right? And I like that we're getting this mid-jungle working already. Putting ShiauC behind, he was a mainstay factor for EDG in the last game. And just kind of trying to keep control over mid, allow Cryin to play down bot side if needs be, to just facilitate Elk and ShiauC playing aggressive in this game.
Oh no. I think they're showing that Hacker was on a ward. EDG had a ward in the side brush, and Scout just was either not looking or maybe looking at somewhere else on the map. And yeah, really unfortunate. Hacker got away with it, and the kill going over to the Syndra in the lane. Going to be a great little start here for Cryin as Hacker's starting to take away some of his camps as well. Dagda, early game means that Ultra Prime are not even in gold. They're about 300 behind, but have some carries they can start talking about with Cryin in an unfamiliar position.
I think the big point here is try to see if Cryin can do what he did on RNG, right? Get out of the lane, don't just stick here against the Viktor, because that's not going to help out. We need to see him actually interacting with Hacker, or maybe just going for repeat plays in the mid lane, right?
Yeah.
If you can try and like have Cryin get access to Viper in these fights by playing kind of off the mid-range that you get with Cryin, that could work out super well and give that burst potential to take out the enemy AD carry, but we'll have to see. I think either way, like, as we said, Ultra Prime, you've a ton of options that you can actually play through in this early stages. It's just a case of how well do we see Hacker play towards them.
I just want to see if, you know, before we get to the roaming phase, before we get to Cryin moving a little bit, that we start talking about, hang on a minute, Flandre is just yelling at ZS, running a bit low on matter, but it's Cho'gath, so he's going to get it through his passive by killing minions. Dagda, I was going to say that, you know, through the 2v2 in the mid lane, that Hacker and Cryin, you know, scatter the weak, when they get 6, unleash power, cataclysm, a lot of burst potential, a lot of follow-up CC, and Scout without a flash can be abused pretty heavily.
Yeah, especially when you don't have Flandre involved, right? Like, Flandre is still only puny. He still needs time to scale and become the big monster, so if you can actually take these fights early, that is definitely big wins for Ultra Prime. And unfortunately, obviously, with Elk not getting that early kill, it's going to be a bit of an even Steven, but with Viper having to reset and the wave pushing into him, he's still behind in CS, and you can still set up for this dragon off of Ultra Prime's play on bot side.
Well, speaking of bot side, ShiauC actually going to spot out that Jiejie is behind enemy lines. Wards have been spotting out ShiauC as he's roamed through as well. So again, that EDG vision we talked about. But I like that Ultra Prime Dagda have taken a page out of the playbook of EDG. Look at the deep wards. Control wards placed right next to mid, near Jiejie as well as he spots one out to clear. And so Ultra Prime are in the know, understanding that, yeah, we've got to play around mid. We're going to continue highlighting this lane and tracking where Jiejie is going at all times.
And I like that ShiauC's actually moving from this bot lane as well, because one of my big worries was that you'd see ShiauC and Elk kind of sit in that bot lane and not really look to roam. But as you can see, Meiko very quick with linking up with Jiejie whenever he gets an opportunity. So you need to make sure that ShiauC's playing that third man in this mid-jungle matchup.
Oh, Hacker spotted out, looking for someone to influence mid. Cryin gets the scat of the week, and turret plating going to hold strong for now. Dude, we come back to bot. Let's just point out, Meiko is like this frontline support, but maybe this time he's gone too far. Ignite's down, and Meiko's been doing that for way too long. He's finally punished by Elk and ShiauC, and Viper's even next. He's got the flash available, cleanses immediately. ShiauC with the Zenith Blade on top of him. Viper doesn't flash, and he pays the price.
Oh, it's messy stuff from EDG's bot side. Meiko, no flash, and gets burnt for it. And now, Ultra Prime have control over bot side. Hacker doesn't actually start up the Dragon, decides to back away. They want to go for turret plates instead, but I honestly think taking Dragon and resetting might have been their best bet there. Either way, though, I mean, Ultra Prime, they're in the lead.
Yeah, once again, another strong early game, and this time we have to criticize EDG's bottom lane because Meiko, like I said, Dagda, has been harassing them. But what the hell was that?
Yeah, I mean, great placement of the choppers coming through from Elk, right? Completely disrupts Meiko from being able to step back, and ShiauC with the flash force just about able to follow up on Elk's play. So mistakes coming through from Meiko, which cost Viper a lot there as well. And now EDG, no control over the bottom half of the map. That was the one spot that we said for EDG. Maybe they can make some stuff happen. Now you've got a mid lane that's behind, a top lane you really don't want to play around, and a ever-scaling Elk that is more than able to take over games, as we saw against top East.
Which is the focus, right? Again, game one, Elk was in a great position, but then EDG snapped and set the cavalry down to deal with him. Elk this time, though, is 2-1. So in a very big way, Ultra Primal, once again, as you just said, setting up that condition that they had against top esports. And for Hacker, Dagda, I mean, now he's got more options. You just said that Cryin, you know, is still set up for success. 5 CS in the lead, the kill that we got earlier. Summoners maybe up for Scout, but still that CC chain applies. And they also have Ultra Prime's bottom lane. So Dagda, this is an early game that we need to talk a little bit more about because Dragon's been sitting there for a while. Herald's now up as well. What do you want to see Ultra Prime do? What is the best move where it stands?
I was gonna say, I feel like they've kind of missed their mark here. I thought they were gonna shove in bot, move up towards that Rift Herald, like do a full push mid, but not just a little bit late off the mark there. They still should get it. Maybe Flandre as well.
Let's see, the flash away. Cataclysm is there. Flandre has the feast available, but Jiejie's nowhere nearby. Top laner left out for scraps, and Cryin picks it up with an airy. 2 kills now on the mid lane Syndra, and this EDG, I don't know, Dag. Yeah, not sure. Your turn.
I agree. I mean, I don't know what the idea is here from EDG, right? You got Flandre, who's overextended top, gets the pick. Cryin had full push mid, and you already had ShiauC and Elk, who had started to roam, but now, with Flandre dead, can just sit back in underneath this mid lane tower and keep themselves safe. Jiejie and Scout are moving down to the bot side, though. Considering either trading the Rift Herald top for Dragon, or maybe a play bot, but they'll just suffice for Dragon for the moment. But this is Ultra Prime coming out top trumps, right? You just don't have EDG with any sort of control, and they look so different in this game.
Well, it's a gold at 15 stat that we should bring up as soon as we get to 15 minutes. Dragon's going to be traded off, but again, the Herald's going to be huge. Dagda, multiple lanes, multiple choice. Meiko needs to stop walking up, and this time there's not going to be punished because ShiauC's behind him, or at least, excuse me, behind Elk. And Cryin, as he pushes out the wave, just note that our timers are going to be syncing up a little bit once again. Herald and Dragon similar. Hextech coming up next. And first item's going to be there when we do get to that point of contesting for the next objective. So, Dagda, early game, that's right. EDG have no options at this point.
It's time for the secret sauce, Hysterics.
Okay, what is it?
It's time for the TP play. I want to see what the story is with Cryin. Because I'm looking at Rift Herald, right? Nevermind, he's gone over in favor of Hack. You know that he's going to try and make a play down onto this bottom side. I want to see if Scout is going to be able to try and counteract this, because he hasn't got the reset off, which does kind of suck, but you imagine Cryine's going to hard shove that mid lane, look to try and move into bot side, and they want to get that bot lane turret. Cryin, not able to stop the reset from Scout, so it feels like right now, Scout, I think you got to give up a wave. You got to hold on to this TP and just walk back to lane. That way, if this play tries to come into the bottom side, maybe with Jiejie being able to follow up with Meiko, maybe Viper can set you up. You can try and turn around the inevitable Rift Tower that's coming down towards the bot side.
Well, Jiejie waiting in the brush. You say it's inevitable, but Hacker is playing cautious. ShiauC goes deep for vision as well. Spots out a defensive ward from EDG, but that one in River gives full information as to where they are. Jiejie's being so patient. On top of ShiauC, he's just backing away for now as good dodge away with the audacious charge from Elk's Zap. Herald again, that's the focus point, guys. You can see half the time is ticking away. Dagda, this is going to be a bit slow from Ultra Prime. They don't have an option for bot, but Hacker wants to create one.
They're trying so hard. And, I mean, unfortunately, Cryin not coming down to try and help them out, right? So, with him just sticking in mid, yes, it's nice that he's been able to punish Scout, but he's not actually enabling Ultra Prime on this bot lane, knowing that Scout still has the TP, just trying to see if he can poke him down, but it means Ultra Prime can't get in with this Rift Herald, and no matter how many times Hacker decides to butt his head against the wall, he ain't getting anywhere unless he's able to get Cryin to help him.
Well, Cryin now finally moving down, but Scout's wave clear is insane. He's got a full mana bar, full HP bar, and he's not really that far behind as Meiko wild growths himself to get out from Hacker. Has flash and heal available, and Hacker actually gets hit pretty hard. The Gravity multi, one more Q will do it, and Viper with the flash forward, not even necessary. It's Meiko who trades his life though, and Cryin picks up his third kill. But the problem is, Dagda, Hacker died, and that Herald is going to have to be placed at base.
I mean, the worst person probably to die in the one-for-one trade, because as you say, you can't get that Rift Herald down, and now that's a big sigh of relief for EDG. They are managed to dissuade the play, Scout using that TP we're talking about to get down there, and meanwhile, you're still getting Flandre in control of this top side. So we're going to get the replay here of Hacker just going that bit too far forward. Meiko manages to use the ultimate just to get the knock up, and Viper getting the lockdown. I don't think that Meiko really needed to risk his life here, as Viper definitely could have been the one to pick up that kill. Would have been better, but either way, 1-for-1. Rift Herald ticking away. Jiejie not on the bot side, but Hacker, he is already.
You don't expect your support to flash, you know, and Viper burning his for absolutely nothing apart from an assist is kind of bad, but Hacker does get to the bottom lane as Herald times out, so excuse me guys, I apologize, not going to be from base, but it was close too. Hacker was able to walk down here and he gets first heart blood, so you know what, in the end, the Herald play is exceptional. Or is it? Or is it Dagda, or is it they spot out Jiejie like on top of Viper? Hacker's been rused, and Ultra Prime's bottom lane will not get another charge. Elk and ShiauC are out of there, and that was a bait waiting to happen.
Why did Jiejie flash at the Rift Herald?
Great question.
Was he
sure we'll see a replay.
trying to get the... I don't know. I don't think it was going to, like, charge, but... I mean, flash for Rift Herald, I don't know. But anyway, EDG do get the pick back. I want to draw attention over to the two big carries for Ultra Prime, right? Because already Kraken Slayer completed for Elk. Love the call for the Kraken Slayer. You're going to be pretty safe here against what the EDG comp. You're not going to be under too much pressure for like a Gale Force or anything like that. And as well, having that Kraken Slayer is going to do work against Cho'gath. 3 kills for Cryin. And I'm actually surprised to see Elk committing that...
I think he wanted to stop the dragon timer because 20 seconds till dragon.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to shove in, maybe. Yeah, just for the dragon. So, Jiejie flashing there really didn't want that charge to go off. But as you say, right, stopping the backs from the bot lane of EDG there so they can't come in towards the dragon. I don't think it would have mattered too much simply because you've already got your first mythics completed here for Ultra Prime. Honestly, I'd want to try and draw EDG into a fight. Like 3 kills onto Cryin. Elk already have his first mythic. It feels like it's actually a relatively good time for Ultra Prime to find these fights.
Well, you mentioned the mythics coming through. 4 on the side of Ultra Prime, only 2 on EDG. Actually 3, because Meiko has so much gold. He beat his 80 carry to getting his mythic Dagda. He beat Scout to getting his mythic. Like, Meiko is the gold source right now. And I'd be curious to see the difference. I didn't get to have a look on the sides as we hit 15 minutes, but Meiko with Shirelias which I believe has just been blocked. I'm not too sure on that one, guys. But Solo's going to lock it down. Jiejie once again lying in wait, but this time on a ward. He's blown up. Okay, Meiko's dead. The third time this game, and Ultra Prime just keep taking kills.
Yeah, Meiko not having the best of times on the Lulu. Sure, he's got the 2 kills, but it's been pick galore on him when he's mispositioned, and now Ultra Prime. 2 dragons, our second dragon goes their way, 2 Rift Heralds now going to be picked up, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see them just use this in towards the mid lane. Crack that one open, make it easier for themselves to get pressure on towards the top side, especially Cryin can just sit there, slowly pushing waves, chip away at the turret, have Ultra Prime collapse onto top side. So Ultra Prime, they are definitely having a strong lead, and when we're looking at their composition as well, right? We said they wanted to set up for these strong front-to-back fights. A lot of what EDG wants to do is use the fact they've got like their Shurelya's and the Chemtech, or the Chemtank, sorry, to close the distance onto Ultra Prime, but I don't think you really want to be running into this Syndra and this Jinx right now. Ultra Prime are in really good position to set themselves up nicely for team fights.
They are. You know, 1.5k still the lead. ELK actually finding Flandre in the top side, not doing too much damage, so Tanksats at least doing quite a bit of work here against the Jinx. And Dagda, we've got 3 minutes till Baron spawns, till Dragon spawns, so right now it looks like we're just swapping lanes, trying to get the push and buying time to get towards these second items, especially for Ultra Prime, who look closer than EDG.
I mean, this ain't looking so hot for EDG. We're singing the praises coming in, but Meiko definitely on an off game. The draft not really doing them favors either with the ability to try and play these early stages. So Ultra Prime, this is kind of a big test for them, right? Like if they are able to keep control of this game, close it out, that's going to be a pretty big win on their cards, but also shows the caliber of this team. Because I think a lot of people kind of questioning, where does this Ultra Prime team lie? What can they do with the lead? Well, this is a game to prove it.
Well, it also make me question, you know, the cleanliness narrative that we've been talking about with EDG. Every game's been good, the strength is there, and like, you know, this game has been, I think, EDG's worst so far in the split as Herald gets put down, and you know, for Ultra Prime, not going to sing their praises yet because that Herald doesn't even get a charge. Elk hitting away at Flandre, but he's taking no damage, and the turret will stay there standing.
Yeah, I mean, Flandre's going to have an insane health bar, right? Fimbulwinter on the way for him. He's just going to be nigh impossible to kill. Might try and push here, but Ultra Prime 3 members here. I don't think you 4 members actually with Viper, but I don't think you beat this.
Flash away from Flandre as well, but EDG looking to re-engage Viper's there. He goes forward with the Gale Force, and that only hits Hacker and ShiauC with the Moonlight Vigil, so interesting play. Viper is able to push them away, and the Super Mega Death Rocket from Elk as he starts running out on mana. EDG is still up here to try and defend this turret, and Ultra Prime just are not saying no.
Scout, though, does have the TP to get there. Same with Flandre if they go ham.
Okay, well, Elk also takes a turret shot, and a lot of damage actually from Viper. Wave clears there, and Prime's going to get hit with a turret too. Bit of gravitum on the way out. Ultra Prime, the only member who's not there is ZS, who's getting bullied by Scout. So that was a lot of time to try and get the turret, and again, EDG definitely said no.
Infernum pretty clutch there and being able to clear the wave, because that would not have been the best of times there for EDG if they weren't able to get that, but just give Flandre time to get bot side, Scouts gets good damage mid, and Cryin will be forced to back alongside the rest of EDG.
Flandre's hitting away at the turret. Dagda, look at this side lane. 30 CS in the lead, by the way, actually 40. Will that hold true as big alien thing is about to get caught out by a man with a barrel? Explosive cast sends it backwards. Hackers on the way through. ShiauC too. This is going to take a while, guys. Buckle in, because the damage here, not really that much. Like, it's taken a while. I'm glad we now have a support to Mega Death Rocket. They give it to Elk. Otherwise, it would have taken an extra 5 seconds.
It does give the time, though, for EDG to push in this top wave. Will give control for Ultra Prime to get this next dragon, though. I don't think EDG were going to contest it, though. They hadn't really decided to reset with Viper. He was still very firmly in that top side. So it feels like this was kind of an Ultra Prime give me. But at least with Elk there in the mid lane, we'll be able to clear out and answer for that tier 1 in the top side. So Ultra Prime, still in the grand scheme of things, he'll hunt the AD carry and trading up with the extra dragon as well.
Also, you mentioned EDG not wanting to contest anyway. I mean, exactly. Elk has 2 items, and you can see as well, Cryin pretty close to being able to pick up that Hextech Alternator. So at this point, big point for Ultra Prime as Jiejie wants to go invading. Meiko's alongside him with the ride. that's going to reset. Shirelles actually pops, smites down, and Cryin is denied his blue, which is a nice little takeaway. But remember that mid turret went down, and, you know, that gold also went to Elk. So it's still feeling like an Ultra Prime game. It's a 2K gold lead, and at 20 minutes in, this is not the huge turnaround Dagda we saw in game 1. This is not the EDG story that was like, wow, this team is so clean. They never put a foot wrong. EDG's early game has been pretty shocking for a world champion team.
Yeah, and not really finding any sort of inlet now into the game. So Jiejie is opting to go for this pick. He's trying to see if, hey, look, maybe we can sit in the side lane. Cryin can show up. We manage to make something happen. Especially with Baron in the area, there's always the opportunity for EDG to try and turn towards it and press dead if they can find the right picks. But you can see, right, Ultra Prime, they're playing this super safe. They cleared out the entirety of the vision that EDG had attempted to place in that topside jungle. They're very slowly and methodically clearing out the vision and river. They're not giving EDG any sort of chance to get back into this game, and base checking into Ultra Prime is not really an issue for EDG when Flandre's there. But without Flandre there, it becomes a very different story.
Very true. You know, even with people like Jiejie, because of the item disadvantage, Cryin, Elk, going to be able to get through and pretty much burst him down. Well, not burst, but damage him impactfully. Ultra Prime are looking for that little pick over the wall with the Mountain Soul that changes the terrain. As Hacker goes on top of Viper, but Meiko with the Shirelles once again. Viper not going to get Cataclysm for now, but hey, tanked in the bottom lane, just fighting it out for the time being, while the rest of the teams are actually fighting it out in the top side around Baron.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, like, I don't care about that bot lane at all right now. It's going to be a case of, like, we're going to ping-pong it between us. Oh, Jiejie.
Well, Solo Flare's in, but they can't damage him over the wall. Elk just keeps hitting away, waiting for the timer. Cryine's now coming in as well as Hacker gets half HP, but look at this. ZS with a huge flank, but for EDG, they're picking a pathway. ZS running towards them pretty fast with the flash with his explosive cast. Who's his target? Scout pops him out in the back line, and ZS still runs towards them, but for now, EDG saw it coming, and even Flandre on top of the mid lane, EDG coming back in. He takes no damage, but the rest of the team aren't alongside with him. Everyone on top of Flandre, everything used, down he goes, but a 3-man Moonlight Vigil is huge from Viper. In a choke, Ultra Prime, not where they should be as Chaos Storm around from the wing. Hacker back in to his death, and ZS now the front line that has to get them away. EDG trading when they're down in gold.
But there's so much damage onto Ultra Prime. EDG, they can get the mid lane turret. They're even turning over to get the vision over from this mid lane. Ultra Prime stick around a bit longer to clear out the wave, which should deny at least the kind of double peel of both the Baron and this mid lane turret, but should be the mid lane turret go down? Question mark? Because Ultra Prime TPing in galore to save everything off of this mid push.
Making sure they don't open up the map. EDG with a bit of catch-up gold, I believe. I'm not too sure if I saw a yellow ring around there, but watch it again because Dagda, Cryin walking through the choke without the rest of Ultra Prime.
Yeah, Flandre just hiding off in the wings, and the big story here is ZS just being able to keep the rest of EDG at bay. Scout not really being here as well, but Viper again, hero play here with this Moonlight Vigil on the Infernum gun, dealing so much damage, and Scout then just about able to pick off Hacker and trade that 1-for-1.
I think Hacker, knowing he had to sacrifice his life, otherwise the chase was going to be huge. EDG 1-for-1. 2K gold lead here still for Ultra Prime. They're on top of the Baron for now, Dagda, but Hacker just wanted to clear out that ward. He'll take a bit of damage for it. Might not matter in the grand schemes as he goes back to his own jungle, but we've got a Mountain Dragon coming up in about 55 seconds. Both teams hovering around Baron, but I think we're going to change our tune pretty quickly, considering this will be sole point if Ultra Prime got it.
Yeah, you still have to be very careful as Ultra Prime though, right? Because now the Flandre starting to group, he becomes another factor in trying to make these steals, because Flandre and Jiejie working together can very quickly flip any sort of these what we call 50-50 steals, but are never really 50-50 with a Cho'gath involved.
That's true. Well, Cho'gath's going to face it. Jiejie at half HP though. The Crescent Guard comes out again, but look at the pathing. Look at the position of the gravity field, but for Ultra Prime, it's the Gragas backline that's absolutely blown it apart. They might even have this fight. Scout goes down too. Flandre just a remnant. Viper left alone, and for ZS, that was beautiful. Gale force away. Flandre lucky to be alive. There's a super mega death rocket from Elk. He wants to fire it down the line towards the turret. Watch Elk. Watch Elk as Flandre tries to back peacefully in this game. He's thinking about it. He's ready to launch it, but EDG are in the way, and it's going to be too late. On to Baron Dagda. And ZS, dude, that was his fight.
Baron now for Ultra Prime. The TPs are going to come in for EDG. They should be able to get the Dragon for themselves and at least deny that, but that was a brilliant fight for Ultra Prime. As he said, like, perfect. Oh, hang on.
Okay, rocket on the Dragon. It helps, but it's going to be the feast in the end. Oh, no. The feast was a bit short, I believe. Smite was what secured it in the end. And Baron goes over to Ultra Prime. That's the trade-off here, as well as that top lane turret. Dagda, 5k gold lead just about. EDG, it's going to the late game where they are going to be massively behind.
And it could not have been like a worst fight for EDG there either, right? As I'm sure we'll get the replay in just a moment. Viper's guns were potentially the worst guns he could have had. Gravitum Severum, not really a combo that you like to see coming into it. So when this big team fight kicked off, he couldn't make the hero plays that we've seen a couple of times in the last couple, and we'll see it here, right? As this fight kicks off, good positioning from Viper, but Jiejie caught out of position here. So much damage coming in over the wall, and you can see there, right? Viper, Moonlight Vigil goes wide. He's only got a handful of shots left in Burnham, and when he swaps over from that, Severum Gravitum is not really going to do a huge amount, whereas the range from Ultra Prime is there this whole time. Cryin being able to free fire alongside Elk without much pressure because of the way this EDG comp operates.
I just love that Elk's positioning there. His darting back and forth was so clean. 5, 1, and 2 on this Jinx, 3.5 items. I mean, you know, guys, we're criticizing EDG in this game because of the expectations we have, and also because EDG, it feels like they have been the bearer of bad news to their own game in some way. But Ultra Prime, this is the cleanliness we talked about. This is the strength we talked about. It's what we saw against top esports. This doesn't feel like a bottom tier team, and they're handing it to EDG in the second game, trying to take us all the way. As that 5k gold lead, that's shortened a little bit, but Ultra Prime are pushing in multiple lanes. And EDG have got their head in their hands right now and wondering who they can pick off.
And again, it's coming back towards this bot, right? That's the one that I'm keeping my eyes on. Elk, 5 kills, 3 items, nearly an Infinity Edge completed for him as well. This is the guy that can take over the game, and Flandre is well aware of that. Randuin's Omen picked up. He's going directly in towards all that armor that we talked about, trying to make Elk's life a living hell. Make sure he's absorbing all the damage this Jinx can turn out, but with an LDR and a Kraken Slayer already, this health bar for Flandre is not as strong as EDG may think it is.
I mean, there's going to be an Infinity Edge now complete, Dagda. 4 items on the Jinx. So, yeah, Flandre with 3 items is not going to mean too much here if Elk's allowed to free a fire once again in a fight. 2 minutes 30, I want to point out that Salt Point is still up and available for Ultra Prime, but I think importantly, the base wasn't broken on that last play. So the Baron was able to whittle away on those tier 2s, both top and mid. But now we've got to see what Ultra Prime do with the last 15 seconds of it and see if they can put the nail in the coffin for this game, Dagda, because it's still not over, but it does feel like it should be a sure thing for UP.
I like what Ultra Prime are doing though, right? They get the reset right as the Baron is about to teeter off, so they can come back out on the map and start to get control for the next dragon. 2 minutes until that's up, but bot lane being pushed in. The bot lane turret is by far the easiest one for Ultra Prime to actually gain traction onto, so they leave that one for last, and they'll be consistently able to keep control over this area, deny EDG access, which means that their vision should be there when the dragon spawns.
It's a minute 32, we have to worry about that anyway, but Ultra Prime, the damage they have is forcing EDG off the last tier 2 in the EDG's arsenal. Base is the only thing that remains. EDG going back, and we're about an item and a half behind of Ultra Prime's inventory right now. And it's interesting coming into the season, you know, I looked at the roster and I thought, well, ZS wasn't too impressive. Hacker has been, you know, lulling it for a bit. Cryin, I thought, was the weak element of RNG. Elk has a high ceiling, but also, like, you know, there's still some question marks as to how he works with ShiauC. I am glad that the series we've seen so far, it doesn't seem like there's any communication issues. It doesn't seem like there's the same issues we see with teams like TT, LGD, even JDG, dude. Like, I see Ultra Prime as a better team overall than, again, the teams at the bottom of the league.
Yeah, I agree. And I think certainly the ability for Ultra Prime to play from ahead is there. You can see it demonstrated in this game, right? And my biggest concern for Ultra Prime is getting these leads. It feels like the early game can be a little slow and a lot of that down to Hacker, but engage.
Okay, Dagda, what is happening with Jiejie? Flashing away, the Crescent Guard again. Ultra Prime, 3 members channeling into this choke, and EDG help him get away. Heal was actually burned as well, but that's flash gone from the jungler. And just like that, Ultra Prime will take a free mountain if it wasn't free before.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we're talking about, right? Like, EDG realize that their entire bot side is littered with vision. They can't contest it, so they try and make a play elsewhere on the map, but they're just getting spotted out. Ultra Prime are doing such a good job of being aware of what EDG are up to, and now Dragon over, third one for Ultra Prime. And it's not like this onslaught's going to start. Stop. Hacker still pushing Scout back, allowing Cryin to shove in his wave. Mid is in control. Bots in their favor. Ultra Prime are shoving EDG back into their base.
And Elk just walks up and takes the red buff too. Like, yeah, it's adding insult to injury at this point. Ultra Prime, as they move through this mid wave, just look at what ZS is doing in the bottom wave too. Pushing that wave up, Flandre is forced to respond. And as this clears out, the other one channeling right in behind him. EDG holding mid for now, but Baron's going to be up in 15 seconds, Dagda, and they're going to move. They're going to move for this objective because I feel like the next Baron is going to be an easy push into EDG's base and possibly just the end.
You need a miracle fight from EDG, like double knockup from Flandre, which allows him to flash forward, chomp Elk, damage from Scout, instantly blows up Cryin, and maybe then you can win a fight, but because Ultra Prime are pretty consistently like shoving out mid-wave and moving across, they're not really giving chokes where both carries should be in the same position at the same time. You've Infinity Edge now completed for Viper, so he does have a good amount of damage with that third item complete, but nothing compared to this Jinx.
Scout on the flank here. Look at where Elk is. Chaos Storm, he goes golden. That's a zoning ult for the time being, but Scout's just obliterated. ShiauC is going to be targeted here with Calibrum as Jiejie once again. The engage is there, but Flandre here has been tackled up. You said it, Dagda. He can't deal with Elk, who destroys him too. Flash over the wall from this Ultra Prime AD carry. The Death Rocket avoided, but Ultra Prime cannot be avoided as easily.
And they're just going to bring it on back. Baron sitting nice and pretty there for the taking. We're very much looking like we're going to be going to a game 3 as Ultra Prime. They look in firm control of this, and they are not letting EDG have an inch.
I just can't believe we're going to a game 3 after what we saw in game number 1. What a bounce back. What a second game from these guys. And, you know, Hacker's a big deal, but I want to look back at this fight, Dagda, because they tried to all in on Jiejie. I thought Scout was going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, Scout tried his best there, but just no damage in the tank, right? Elk able to heal up through it. He's perfectly fine. Flandre then TP's in, but who's going to help him from that position, right? Viper right at the back. Meiko not even able to get in there. And these early mistakes that you talked about from EDG compounding dramatically, right? 3 kills from Meiko going over towards towards Elk. And now Viper and Meiko are completely pushed out compared to the damage of Elk.
Well, this is going to be the big push to talk about, Dagda. It's the Baron on a Jinx. But Ultra Prime also have Syndra at the ready. A Viper with good wave clear here, but you can see pulling them across the map. ZS topside, the rest of the team mid. Jiejie actually poking Hacker. But it feels like a little pointy stick at this point. It hurts, but it doesn't really matter. Jiejie with the wild growth. Thank you, Meiko, but now that's 1 inhibitor, if not 2.
I mean, you can't really contest this topside push now. Ultra Prime get mid, can rotate across. You've still got the Baron buff there as well, so Viper doing his damnedest to clear these creeps out before they hit the Nexus towers, but I mean, that was just a QE combo. Like, Jiejie, you're just taking pop shots. It's not even like Ultra Prime are committing anything to getting Jiejie away from these structures.
It's one auto. I mean, look, Elk walks up. That's it. Explosive cast. The present guard will save him for now. But Hacker's walking up as well. Flandre takes Scatter the Weak, and Ultra Prime are all in with the Cataclysm on the backline. That's Viper. He goes into it because there's only one way out, and unfortunately, if you want to get to the top, you got to rock and roll. Are we doing it again, Dagda? No. Penta's stolen. It's a Quadra this time.
Yes, come
Elk almost got 2 Pentas within like 4 days of each other. Ultra Prime, well-deserved once again, going to a game number 3 against the world champions. Nevertheless.
I mean, ZS, why'd you have to do it? Like, you could see the triple kill going over. You knew that it was going to come through, but it doesn't matter. I think Ultra Prime overall will be perfectly happy with picking up the win there.